What's up, guys, and welcome to the heroic Lei Shen raid guide. As always, this is going to be the heroic guide, so we're only going to cover the differences between normal mode and heroic. Also, due to the length of this fight, I'm going to try to get through everything so that you guys can go ahead and just watch the video uninterrupted, and understand also, guys, that I did leave in the nerd screams at the end as well, because I had a couple of people that asked for that, so that's what I'm going to do for you. But to get right into this fight, guys, this fight is insanely important that everybody in your raid group knows every aspect of this fight, forwards, backwards, sideways, doesn't matter. You cannot carry people in this fight. It is impossible to carry people. There's just no way around it. Everybody has to be able to think on their feet, especially during transition phases. The easiest way to go at this fight is to really understand kind of the main differences. Let's go through phase one. Obviously, Thunderstruck hits like an absolute truck. So you pretty much, as you can see here, we have our ranged and a couple of our healers stacked together. When Thunderstruck comes out, we run to the other side of the room. Keep in mind also that you are dodging abilities. We started on the bouncing bolt platform and then worked our way in a counterclockwise fashion. That's just how we did it. You do need to stack up for overcharges. You do need to make sure that you spread out for diffuse lightning. There's just a lot of things in phase one that are very, very normal. It's not that different, phase one. Again, the main difference is how hard Thunderstruck hits. Again, he's going to switch at about 66% roughly. And what you want to do is, once he switches, you will then go into transition phases. Okay, so for each transition phase, you need to have immunity groups, and then you need to have a non-immunity group. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you get static shock on you in an immunity group, that means that you have the ability to not die and have it go off. So whether that means ice block, bubble, you know, I think deterrence works, you know, whatever your main, you know, lifesaver is, if you have one of those, you are officially an immunity person. And then you need as many immunity groups as you can. Keep in mind, however, that 4 bouncing bolts will go to each platform. So you need to make sure that everybody's soaking those, and you have enough so that if Helm of Command, the new ability, comes out, you still have enough people to soak it. So you need pretty much a minimum of 5 people on a platform. Obviously, with 25 people in the raid, you can see how that works. The thing with Helm of Command is, as you'll see here, it pushes you back really, really fast. Warlock portals work wonders for this. And keep in mind that if you're taking Helm of Command, you should not be soaking one of the bouncing bolts. It's just a ton of damage, as Helm of Command does do damage to you as well. And then taking that soaking damage on top of that is just, you're probably dying. If you don't, your healer's going to be pissed because they have to use a ton of mana to get you back up. Again, guys, this phase is all about synergy with your group. The more synergy you get with your group, and the more times you practice this with your group, you'll get used to how they play, where you go. Have assigned areas that you're supposed to be aware of, and go from there. And understand that, you know, even if you're in an assigned area, well, if the guy next to you just got Helm of Command, and there's 2 bolts, someone's going to have to come help you out, or you're going to have to help out. There's sometimes that you can double soak them if you use a cooldown. There's a lot of different little scenarios that you'll figure out as you do this fight, but it does take a lot of attempts for you to figure this out and figure out how it works. Going into the next transition phase, really kind of the same idea. Again, we're just going from platform to platform to platform, as well as doing our normal routine of, you know, soaking the balls, spreading out for diffuse lightning, stacking an overcharge, etc. The biggest thing that we want to do here, though, is we need to understand that we need to have ball lightning positions. So ball lightning will come out on a timer, and you need to have a minimum of, I believe, 7 range and 25 man, 7 people out in range to get those ball lightnings. They need to be pretty much more than 8 yards away from the boss and less than 30 yards away from the boss, as the AoE grips that we use for this fight grip them all in so that we can AoE them down. Demo locks, warriors, monks, anything with a really high AoE does a very, very good job on these ads, like Shaman especially, even with Chain Lightning. They do very, very well on these ads to burn them down quickly, because remember, the longer they're up, the more damage they do, so having stuns on them as well is very, very key for this phase. As you transition into the second transition, remember you will have one of the quadrants filled up, so you need to distribute those people evenly around. But remember also that this makes it easier because you don't have the bouncing bolts, but you also need to make sure that you're spread out in the diffusion chain. Oh no, you just the bouncing bolts. So you need to make sure that you're spread out for diffusion chain, and then you can stack up for overcharge, Helm of Command, and then stand in the circles for bouncing bolts. And that's the entire phase 2 transition. However, again, the thing that takes some getting used to is once you get into the phase 2 transition is understanding, again, now you've got a whole new group of players because you've got all those players from the first group that's, you know, that quadrant's gone. You have all those players now feeding into your quadrant. So again, it's a little bit of a learning curve, figuring out who does what when, who likes to go where, you know, is everyone spread out properly, and making sure that we have everything set up. Again, you will see a lot of wipes going through phase 2 transition, but it's about consistency, guys. The more consistent you can be with your play, the quicker you will down this fight. There is nothing else I can say about this. You need to understand what everybody else in this fight is doing at all times, and what abilities are going on, so that you know what you're doing. Tanks, you have your own deal to worry about on when to taunt, making sure that you're taunting at the right energy. Healers, make sure you have your cooldowns lined up for like ball lightnings, because again, the initial damage that comes out is quite a bit. Remember that when you transfer Lei Shen from platform to platform, you want to do that as quickly as possible, because he does a ton of damage if he's not near one of the conduits to the entire raid. So make sure that you have a healing cooldown ready for that is important. And then you go into the final phase, guys. And the final phase is, again, you're dealing with the ball lightning, so you need to have that group of range spread out around the outside. But then you also need to make sure that Thunderstruck is away with the Gale Wind. So you're pretty much standing on the sides of the boss, DPSing. As soon as, you know, as soon as that ball lightning is dead, you move all the way down the other end. Thunderstruck comes out. As soon as Thunderstruck comes out, you move all the way back and spread out immediately. And then it's rinse and repeat in phase 3, as you'll see during the video. This phase is, again, going to take some time to get used to. Melee will have to soak bouncing balls at one point because the range is all the way on the other side of the room doing the Thunderstruck thing. So there's going to be a little bit of play that your raid group has to do with this, but once you get it figured out, again, be consistent with it. Make sure that you're doing what your raid leader asks in this fight. Why? Because even if it's wrong, at least they can figure out how to fix it. If all the people are doing it right and it's a strategy problem, it's easier to figure out than if a couple people aren't doing what they're supposed to and then trying to figure out what's going wrong. This is one of those fights that's going to take you a few hundred attempts. It's just going to take you that long if you want to kill it before the nerfs. But yeah, guys, if you can do all of those things, keep in mind too that those Thunderstrucks and the Gale Winds, as they keep coming in phase 3, they will hit sequentially harder. They will just keep getting harder and harder and harder to heal through. So your healers are going to have to start stacking more and more cooldowns as that phase goes on. But if you can do those things, guys, you can get your Storm's End title. Huge shout out to Last Word, and I'm going to let you guys enjoy the nerd screams.
Everything you guys have, everything.
Rinse script.
Awesome.
Report again.
Kill him. This is it. Come on.
Come on, kid. Go. Come on.
Play smart. Come on. Just fucking kill him. Stay down.
Yeah! Yeah! Come on! Yeah! Woo!
Fuck yeah.
This was an amazing